Hello, cadets, and welcome back to another week of virtual programming. We are so glad that you are here. Today, we're going to work toward earning our Financing My Dreams Financial Literacy Badge. There are 5 steps in earning this badge. Step 1 is to explore dream jobs. So I want you to take some time to think about what would be your ideal dream job. If you could have any job in the world, what would it be? I've given you some examples on the badge instruction guide to get you started, but feel free to look up any job that interests you. Step 2, we're going to talk about together, which is pricing out buying your dream home. So someday you might be ready to buy a home, and we're going to talk about all the steps that go into that and how you kind of start to figure out what you can afford and what's going to work best for you. Step 3 is to research dream vacations. So I'm sure we all have kind of an ideal place that we would love to go someday. So I want you to have some time to be creative and really think about what would be your ideal vacation and what sort of decisions would go into that. Step 4, make a dream-giving goal. So this is something I want you to think about in terms of if you woke up one day and you had your dream job and a great income and you had extra money, what would you love to be able to do to better your community, to better the world, to help others? I know a dream giving goal of mine would be able to donate substantially to St. Jude's. That's a children's research hospital in Tennessee that relies solely on donations. So for me, that is where my money would go. I might also love to donate to an animal rescue. I'm very passionate about animals, and so that is something that if I had expendable or extra income, that's what I would love to do with that extra money, is be able to help support the people and the organizations that are doing so much good for the communities that they serve. Step 5 would be to add up your dreams. So what is it going to cost to achieve your dreams? Does it mean that you have to pay for college? Does it mean that you want a certain apartment or you want to live in a certain place? How are all of those different costs going to come into play, and what's that going to add up to? And how is that overall cost going to help you determine where you decide to live or what you pursue for a job? All right, join me back in just a few minutes and we're going to chat about pricing out buying your dream home. Okay, cadets, time to think about future, okay? So we're going to think about buying our dream home. So first off, one of the biggest things we have to think about is identifying what we can afford. So the first step in determining what you can afford is looking at your salary or your income that you make from your job. So for instance, say that your income is $40,000 a year. That is your total income to provide for yourself or anybody else that you are living with or supporting in any way. So say it's just you, and your income is $40,000 a year, and you say to yourself, I'm ready to purchase a home. I want to invest. I want to have my own piece of property that is mine. So for a lot of people, home ownership is kind of that step toward ultimate independence. So it's your home. You don't have to worry about having a landlord like you would with an apartment. So when you live in an apartment, you have typically what's called a landlord. This is the person that owns the building or manages the building that you are living in. That person will be the one to collect your rent check every month, which is the cost that they are charging you to live in that space. Sometimes that cost includes the electric bill or the hot water bill. Sometimes it doesn't. So those are all things you have to think about with an apartment. And sometimes, not always, but sometimes, apartments can be more expensive for that reason. Because those costs are not always included. When you're purchasing your own home, you're investing in something that is ultimately belonging to you. So that is your place. You can do whatever you would like. You can paint the walls. You can tear things down and rebuild. You can renovate. A lot of times with apartments, you don't always have that option. So that's a lot of the reasons why folks sometimes prefer to try to invest in having their own home. So you need to think about what you can afford. So if your salary is $40,000, you need to break that down over 12 months and figure out each month, what bills do you have? What are your absolute necessities? So that could be your health insurance. That could be your car insurance, the cost of your vehicle, the cost of buying groceries, the cost of purchasing clothing. If you have certain medicines that you take, just that has to factor in. That's a necessity. If you have a pet, what does it cost to take care of your pet every month? Those are all different factors that you have to take into consideration when you're thinking about what you can afford for a mortgage payment or a loan payment when you're purchasing a home. So a mortgage is the loan that the bank gives you or the loan company gives you to be able to purchase your home. So instead of paying rent to a landlord or an apartment manager every month, you are making a mortgage payment to the person who lent you the money, whether that be a bank or a loan company, okay? Your bank or your loan company, when you go to inquire about getting a mortgage, is going to look at your overall expenses. So they're going to look at your salary compared to what is your overall debt per month. So what things do you have to pay for every month aside from your mortgage payment? And the bank and the lending companies are going to look at that to try to determine what can you best afford so that you can be as successful as possible when owning your own home. Another thing you have to consider is checking your credit. So a good credit score is what often determines whether you get approved for a credit card or you get approved for a loan. Good credit is something that you establish over time. So it's very important that you do certain things to make sure that you have good credit. One of those things is you want to make sure you always pay your bills on time. So say you have a credit card for Macy's and you buy work clothes. If you charge $100, you want to make sure that when that payment comes due the next month, that you pay it in full or you pay at least the minimum that it will cost for you to be able to continue to have that credit card and maintain good credit. One of the most important things that you can do to maintain good credit is making sure that all of your bills are paid on time and that you don't spend more than you absolutely have to. So when you're given a credit card, you're essentially given a loan of, say, $1,000. You can spend up to $1,000 on that card and you can charge it in that moment, but the bill will not be due for 30 days. So it can be very helpful if you're purchasing work clothes and maybe you don't have $100 that day, but you will have that $100 next week. So you're going to charge it today and then you're going to pay it in full. And what that tells the credit company or a mortgage lender or a bank is that you are responsible. You have been trusted with this money and you always pay it back and you always pay it on time. And that is an excellent start when you're starting to look toward getting your own home. You also have to think about what type of home best suits your needs. So if it's just you, you might be better off with what they call a starter home. A little bit smaller, very affordable, helps you kind of get your feet wet, get situated, and then eventually as you get older, as you maybe get a different job or make more money, you're better able to support yourself and to provide more background, more financial responsibility when you're looking for that next mortgage, okay? So right now, we're gonna talk about kind of looking at a starter home. So you wanna think about what's important to you in a home. Do you wanna live in a city? Do you wanna live in a town? Do you want to live near schools? Do you want to be close to work? Do you wanna be close to a park or a library? What things are important to you in the location and also the home itself? So if you're incredibly handy, you might consider purchasing a home that you can renovate and you can fix up to be exactly what you want it to be. But if you prefer to just move into a home that doesn't require you to make a lot of changes, that's something to consider as well. You have to meet with a lender or a bank to see how much you can afford, which we talked about before. So the bank or the lending company is going to compare your monthly finances and your overall debt. So if you have a student loan or a car payment, things like that, they're going to use all of that to determine what you can afford per month. Now, sometimes the bank might say, well, you have excellent credit, you're very responsible, we're going to give you more than what you're asking us for. That does not mean that you have to buy a home that costs more. It just means simply that you have that extra leeway, but that doesn't mean you have to use all of that money. So if the bank approves you for a $300,000 home, but you're really only comfortable with a $150,000 home, then when you go to meet with your realtor who's going to help you find a home that's in your financial affordability bracket, you can be very honest with them and say, I'm approved for $300,000, but I feel most comfortable in this area. And that realtor will help you to find a home that's the best fit for you. Also, when you buy a home, you don't always have to use a realtor. It's very helpful, especially if it's your first home. They can kind of help navigate that process for you and pair you with homes that might be the best fit for you. But you can always look for homes on your own as well. So there are multiple options there. So I hope you enjoyed learning more about buying your dream home. For this step, I'd like you to maybe pick a town or a location where you would like to live and think about the overall cost of living in that area. So what is the average cost of a home? What is the average cost of an apartment? How are you going to determine what's going to be the best fit for you? All right. Remember, when you are done with this video and the activity, you're going to want to then go to our website, gscwm.org. You're going to go under virtual opportunities, and there you will find all of the financial literacy badges with their accompanying videos. And underneath each of the videos is going to be a link that says badge sheet guide. That's going to give you the rest of the steps and all the information you need to complete your badge. All right, enjoy.